Good morning, Washington. Good morning, everybody. It's Big Dave. Let's get some light on the matter here. It's Big Dave on Monday morning, the 29th of August, 2011. Post big storm here in the Washington area. We know we had a Hurricane Irene come barreling through here late Saturday, early Sunday. My power blinked a couple times, but no big problems. The roof held up. We had the new roof put on late last week, and there were no new leaks, so I'm really good about that. What I want to talk about today is one of the biggest idiots on Washington radio, Chris Plante. Chris Plante is right on the air right now. It's about 9:17 in the morning, and he's doing this big hyped rage. Probably sent over the idea was probably sent over to him from the Heritage Institute, probably where he gets most of his material. Basically slamming the liberal media for overhyping Hurricane Irene. And how the people that got their homes damaged are rich people that live right along the beach, and they're probably all liberals, and how liberals are watching out for themselves, and the liberal media is protecting the liberals, and the kooky meanderings of Chris Plante's mind. A couple of things. If Chris Plante wants to slam the liberal media for making super hype of the storm, his own radio station, WMAL, his own radio station was picking up wall-to-wall coverage of the storm from Channel 5, WTTG, Fox 5 here in Washington. His own station was doing it. Every newscast on his station from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the top of the newscast was Hurricane Irene is barreling toward the Washington area. So if any media outlet was hyping the storm, like NBC and the Weather Channel and whatever else, his station was doing it too. They all were doing it. It's just crazy. And who else was really hyping the storm? Drudge. The Drudge Report. If you went to the Drudge Report anytime last week, Hurricane Irene, hurricane killer storm heading up the coast. It's going to hit 56 million people in Washington to Boston, da-da-da. Whether people overhyped the storm or underhyped it or whatever, the potential is there. A big storm's coming up the coast. It could do a lot of damage. It could not do a lot of damage. Who knows? But, what does Chris want? Them just to ignore it? Oh, it's just going to hit the beach areas where a lot of rich people live. Let's just ignore the storm there. He's an idiot. He's just an idiot. He's looking for a topic for his Monday show. He doesn't know what the hell else to talk about. Man. I tell you, wow. If you want to listen to intelligent talk between 9 and 11, or 9 and 12 in the morning, my advice is to listen to WBAL in Baltimore. It's a much better station. Okay, folks, this is the Dominion, Virginia Power. Let's go here. This is the Dominion, Virginia. This is the power outages in Virginia as of Monday morning. Okay, now Northern Virginia still has about 50,000 out. There's still quite a lot out. But look at this. Look at Richmond. Look at Norfolk. Look at Northern Virginia and Northern North Carolina there. This is 2 days after the storm, and these are all people that don't have power. It's going to take probably a week or more to get most of these people's power back online. Now you tell these people that the storm wasn't worth covering. Yeah, the storm maybe didn't hit New York City the way it was maybe hyped, but it sure hit a lot of people in Virginia, North Carolina, and the Eastern Shore of Maryland. And, they don't know. You don't know how bad a hurricane's really going to be until a hurricane hits. So I do think it's kind of shameful for someone like Chris Plante to go, the guy doesn't have much of a brain. He just plugs into these kind of stupid things. And I'd love to see him criticize his own station, because his own station, WMAL, was hyping the storm as much, if not more, than everybody else. Drudge hypes the storm, and then the day after the storm passes and it's not as bad as everybody thought, or at least in New York City anyway, then he runs a whole bunch of links on his page saying how the storm is overhyped, when Drudge himself hyped the storm to the nth degree, like Drudge does with Drudge hypes every weather story. It gets him traffic. People that it gets traffic, it gets people to tune in. When you have bad weather coming, it gets your audience up. Now, locally, I thought most of the media did a pretty good job. It was repetitive. It was over and over and over. They said the same things every couple minutes. I did think it was a little ridiculous for Channel 9 to continue covering the storm, at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. They were still running their storm coverage there. They had Bruce Leshan standing out there in the sunlight in Ocean City. That was a little bit weird. And I also think that the government needs to do better about getting battery-powered televisions to people. In the olden days, people had, if they didn't have a battery-powered television, they had a battery-powered radio that could tune in the TV signals, so you could listen to the audio from the local TV stations. Well, those radios don't work anymore with digital television. Somebody needs to get a cheap battery-powered digital television type receiver, whether it's audio only or audio and video, out there, because there's a lot of places in the country that rely primarily on television for their storm information. Here in Washington we have WTOP, which is a good station, a good radio station, but there are a lot of places in the country that don't have all news radio. You go out to rural areas, a lot of places don't have an all news or even a news talk radio station or a major one that covers their area, and they rely a lot more on television. You go to Ocean City, and I would think most of the people there probably rely heavily on television for their news. They're Channel 16 there in Salisbury, and if you've got a battery-powered radio, you can't hear Channel 16 unless some radio station's relaying them. So anyhow, that's, we got through the storm. It wasn't as bad as most people predicted, but, should stations not hype these things? Would it be better if they underhyped it and more people got killed, Chris? Would that be better? Huh? Think about it. Turn on your brain for a little bit, Chris. Chris Plante, one of the biggest dumbos in Washington radio. I'm telling you, man, I enjoy listening to an intelligent conservative. I enjoy listening to Ron Smith, George Will, quite a few of them people on television that have intelligent minds. Bill O'Reilly, they're intelligent, but, listening to Chris Plante, man, the guy's he's a hack. Man. All right, man. That's my Dave TV for the 29th of August, 2011. Have a good one. Stay tuned and cut.